Start, so all that should go. Hey, we have a Ron here already. That's awesome. All right, Ron's ready to roll. I didn't get to my email this morning. I think it's going to work. That right, get that right. Let's see what else I'm missing. This is what I'm going to do. All right, Skype, might be difficult.
So is our audio working? Yep.
Yep.
It's got to wait a sec.
I was able to test that without talking myself. That's great.
You were able to test that?
I heard Sean on the stream.
Hi. Right. All right. So, 4 minutes. 6 minutes. All right. This has to be a shorter meeting, whether it is or not, because I have to get off to another meeting. So, we will not be going long just to finish. We will be finishing because turn it all off, get off to another meeting. So
We don't have much in the way of new triage. So.
That's true, and then we'll see. I really just want to go through the
you have less than a page, right?
Less than a page of new issues. Yeah, I see.
Old issues.
Of old issues. Yeah. Well, I mean, we have 2 on one page, and yeah, so I don't know how many are on the next page. Yeah, there's like what? Well, 37, 20. Yeah, there's less than.
Actually, there's 2.
There's like 18. So 2 on this side.
There's 2 new.
2 new issues.
Yes.
Oh. Cool.
There was one that I fixed and closed and forgot to remove triage from.
Ah, okay. So if I refresh, it's gone. Groovy. There are 2 issues. So yeah, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, only 14. To go basically yes, no. That's what we're going to do. And then we're going to wrap this meeting up, and then I'm going to run to another meeting. Yay. Meeting day.
Ew.
That's what today is. My morning gets a break from patching. So strange when you're like, woohoo, I can do meetings instead of patching.
Oh, no, that's an easy call.
So much. So much.
Where are we starting on old issues?
6521.
Got it. No idea.
We did
6521.
6503 last, so 6521.
I see. Okay. Sorry. Different sort of order.
Yeah. Older to newer. Older to newer. All right. 929. All right. Do we have a Jacob yet? Is Jacob in the house? Let's go ahead and switch some of this around. That one. No Jacob? All right. We'll give it a minute. I'll bring that up. And I need to bring up or now. Yeah. 242. 242. I have a folder where I have all of these slide decks, which I'm presenting here in them, and I've never deleted one. I just copy the last one and paste it because usually the last one is what I need. Sometimes I go back like 2 if I need something a little bit more.
How far back do you go?
I have all of them. I have 242 slide decks in a folder. It's just kind of funny. I don't know why I kept them all, but I just haven't deleted them. Yeah.
This space is cheap.
And they're not expensive. Our slides are slides with very little images in them, so
yep.
It all works out. All right. Kill a little time here. Ready to get going. That isn't the button. Oh, that button. And then we will see what's next. Triage. All triage. All triage. Because it's all making bugs fix. That's what we're doing. We have a Ron. Anyone else showing up? I don't know. People hanging out. Zach or Jacob. Not that Ron's not enough. Ron is definitely. Yeah, see, Zach's here. He's just quiet. It's all good. Just forcing you guys to talk a little bit. Just quiet. What does bang backslash mean? Backslash means there's another message coming, right, Bob?
I think it was accidentally hitting the backslash and enter at the same time.
But also line continuation.
It's usually just a type. Type A, type B. Yeah, not my type. Just a type. All right, 9:32. Give it a couple minutes for Jacob. All right, so the next WiX meeting, look at that, it's September 8th. Here. I've been in the office way too much, bouncing between 3 keyboards, so I can't find any of the keys correctly anymore. Hey, that's the largest sentence you've written so far, and it's perfect without a period at the end. But you know, it's fine. It's a style thing too, I'm sure. Not joking. I've got nothing else to talk about right now. All right. Anyway, in the office though, 3 keyboards. So you have one at home, one at work, and then one phone. I don't know. 3 keyboards. That would be a mess though. Switching keyboards always did increase my typo rate. Not fun. All right. So in 2 weeks, school will have started here. So I won't have the door slamming shut as we're trying to get started. It's always fun. And yeah, I think it'll be normal. It'll be nice and quiet. Didn't know how many corrections I made. I'm just messing with you, Zach. No need to be like self-conscious or anything. I mean, I don't know if you've been on my stream, but I make gazillions of typos there. Oh, good.
So in 4 weeks, I will be driving to Denver to see my brother.
In 4 weeks.
I won't be able to make 4 weeks from now.
That would be the 22nd?
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll burn that bridge when we get to the 8th and see if we want to bump around it or what. I think I will finally land back on a schedule where my wife works on Thursdays, which means it'll be quiet. Everybody will be gone. The intent of landing these days, so we'll see. Yeah, actually doing work is, is a thing. I get it. My advantage is that when I'm on the stream, I'm actually doing work, so I get to kind of double down on that. But I get you. I get you. Although in 2 weeks it'll be something a little different. So make a background noise, like a coffee shop with just someone talking around back there. I guess it'd be more like being in a conference where you're like sitting in the back doing your work and having someone up in the front talking the whole time. Probably not productive. Apparently some people chill at the coffee shop and like that background music. Look at that, 9:35 and Jacob's here. Boom, I was just about to say, time to start. All right, that's a bunch of filler. Obviously it's not a lot to talk about beforehand, but so I should probably send it to the end. Well, I don't know. Let's just go ahead and get this thing rolling. All right, here we go. Correct place, Chris. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the WiX Online Meeting 242, end of April summer's almost over. I don't know, September and summer? Feels like the end of summer to me. These meetings are recorded for those of you that aren't with us right here, right now. What are we doing? Well, one, if you're here, say hi. We've already been chatting with Ron and Zach and Jacob, giving Zach a little bit of a hard time as he tries to jump between keyboards and keep the typos to a minimum. What are we doing here? We're doing triage, and then we will do WiX 4 issue review, which is essentially triage of all the stuff left in WiX 4. And then we'll take questions and comments and things that other people want to talk about, like the answer to life, universe, and everything. I only have a certain amount of time for all those, so we'll see how far we get. In the meantime, let's go ahead and jump into the triage and V4 issue review. Bob, you ready?
Arg. Since we're going to miss Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Oh, shucks. All right, here we go.
Yep.
Starting at the top. This has been triage before, and it is back for triage.
It is.
So, Bob, yours. Sorry, this is number 6845. Including remote payloads in a package that is assigned to a container causes cab creation to fail. Something about adding an error to this case rather than trying to fix it.
So I was looking at various spots, including the one Sean pointed out. Where I got to was a question of whether it's more generic than the specific issue title might suggest. It occurred to me that all the payloads of a package, including the package itself, have to be of the same packaging type. But I admit some of the discussions that the two of you have had on the whole issue of remote payloads, well, I kind of tuned out. So I wanted to bring back to the Peanut Gallery and ask whether it's true if all the payloads in a package have to be the same packaging type. If it is, then that's one way to fix the bug. And again, in a more general way than specifically checking whether an embedded package has remote payloads.
So,
Well, I mean,
go ahead, John.
there's only two packaging types. There's embedded and there's external.
Yeah.
So if you do the code that I pointed to, that's making sure that if you assign the package to a container, then everything needs to be embedded. And I feel like that covers the case, unless I'm missing something.
Again, I'm not sure that you are. I'm just not sure that I am not either.
If a payload is said to be in a container, then it needs to be embedded.
Sorry, say that again.
If a payload is in a container, it has to be marked embedded to be put into that container.
Yes.
It's odd. I'm trying to think of if there's any situations where you would say this is external, but still be in a container.
No, that seems wrong. I guess
Yeah.
the issue says that if a package is embedded, a remote payload of that package is an error. I'm wondering about the reverse, that you have a remote package, but the payload is marked compressed. I think that's possible. And it also seems, well, I don't know. Is that something we should support? Theoretically, we could, right?
I guess I don't see why not to support it, because you're going to have to add extra code to prevent that from happening.
Well, the issue is to add extra code, so to prevent one case. I'm asking whether we should. Well, like I said, I'm asking: is the specific message or the specific error case in the issue the only thing that we want to prevent? If the answer is yes, then okay. If the answer is no, then then it becomes a question of, is the more general case interesting? It's weird. It would be weird to have a remote package and an embedded payload, but I don't think it's,
Well, I think the case would be where most of the package, where the bundle is compressed by default.
Mhm.
So everything goes in the attached container
Right.
unless you explicitly mark a payload as compressed equals no.
Right.
And maybe there's some random payload that you want to download instead of compressing it. I don't know why, but maybe.
Yeah,
But that's the error case, though. That's the error case in the issue, right?
No.
no, not because they're marked external. It's not an error.
Because this issue is where you author the container
external
yourself.
is not remote.
No, external means not in a container.
Right.
It means a loose file. Loose file is a different term.
No. So that's part of the problem, I think, is embedded is definitely in a container. External can mean loose file or remote.
No. Oh, I see.
External is very generic.
It's basically not embedded.
Yeah. External means not embedded. Remote is a build time thing that says whether the file is available or not at build time. And this is why the name has always been problematic. It doesn't have anything to do with, does it mean there's a download URL or all the, I mean, it adds some requirements because it's always external, but I keep using the same words that we already have for things. Remote only means that we don't have the files when we're building the bundle. That's what remote. They are not here when you're building the bundle. It doesn't have anything to do with when the bundle is running. When the bundle is running, it cares about embedded versus external, aka where is it expecting to find the file.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular case is if it's embedded, then the build process wants to create a cabinet to put all of the files inside that cabinet, because that file is only created during the build process. And the issue is that if it's remote, it's not available at build time, thus the failure. So that's why this makes sense here. If it's remote, not available during the build, it means it cannot be embedded. That's it.
And this issue is also only about when you explicitly author the container and you're saying, I want this package in the container. You can never get into this case for the default attached container.
Why is that? You can author a package. Sorry, you can author a payload as compressed equals no.
I'm just saying for this issue, it's impossible to get cab creation to fail inside of the inside of the default attached container.
Because
if you specify compressed equals yes on a remote payload, that's a compile time error.
I'm thinking of the other case where the bundle's compressed, the package is going into the default attached container, and then you author a payload compressed equals no.
Well, there's not really a concept of the package is going into the default attached container. Only payloads, in the end, only payloads are assigned to containers.
Okay, but bundle compressed equals yes. A payload is marked compressed equals no. A remote payload is marked compressed equals no.
Well, you're kind of assigning more meaning to the compressed equals yes on the bundle element at that point. Because the linker doesn't, that has nothing to do with the linker, but the linker is what's causing this bug, where it's changing compressed equals no into compressed equals yes because you assign the package to the container.
Okay, so, okay, I'm still struggling with the higher concept. Is it legal to have a package with a non-compressed, a package that is compressed, say, into the default attached container, to have a compressed equals no payload? You can author that today, right?
I guess, I mean, there's basically two ways to specify a payload should be compressed. There's the compressed equals yes or no on the bundle, the package, the payload.
Mm-hmm.
The other way is when you're authoring the container and you have a package group ref. And that's what's causing this bug, is that package group ref is telling the linker, I want every single payload for all the packages in this package group to be compressed into this container.
Right, the current code overrides what you might have authored.
Yeah, so that package group ref inside the container is overriding the compressed attribute on the payloads or bundle or package.
Okay, but so
So I don't know whether we want to, I don't really want to disable it, like mixing and matching for the default attached container, because that's more work for us.
okay, but I'm back to the question of whether it should be allowed. Right now, we're saying no. We're saying every payload must be compressed into the container. I hate the fact that we're using compressed in this way, but and of course that fails because they're remote. Should, but it would, no, it's failing. Well, no, it's failing because, well, the crash is because it's remote and there's no source file.
Right.
We're saying that cannot be allowed, correct?
Yeah, we can't crash.
Well, I understand that. That's the easy part of the question. The harder part is, do we want to block the capability of having a package with most of its payloads compressed, but not all?
I think we should allow that.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in doing the extra work that it would take to prevent it. And V3 lets you do that. So it's also a backwards compatibility thing.
Okay, so
I think it's the right thing too. More importantly.
okay, I'm really confused about what the bug is then. Obviously, we can't crash, so we can't force all the payloads to be compressed. We already throw a warning. What more should we be doing?
I mean, this bug is about turning that warning at that code that I pointed to into an error.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh. Okay. And the fix being,
The hard part was deciding whether was your question, basically, whether we want it to be an error or we want to just go back to the V3 behavior of keeping the remote payloads out of the container.
okay, so So it's what? It's now an error because
you specifically told the bundle you wanted the whole package in the container, but you specified a package that has remote payloads. So you're giving conflicting information to the toolset, and it can't handle that.
but it could if it just skipped trying to put the payload into the container.
But then the whole package isn't in the container like they asked for.
Or did they ask for the package to be put into the container and some of its payloads to not be put in the container? How would you author that then, I guess is my question, if you wanted a remote payload for the case where a package and most of its payloads are compressed in the container?
You have to go to every single payload you want compressed, or the other way around. If the default of the bundle is compressed equals yes, and then you have to let it go into the default attached container instead of going into your own specific container.
Why?
That's the only way to do it today. Otherwise, we're going to have to change how compressed attribute works, where instead of yes, no, you have to specify which container you want it to go into.
Well, but if the payloads are associated with the package, you tell Burn that you tell WiX that you want the package in a particular container, and compress then becomes an override. That's how it works without containers. Without explicitly authored containers, right? You can have a package that's compressed equals no, like the NetFX redist, right? You put the package in the chain. Well, actually, no, that's the default for the remote NetFX. You don't generally ship them because they're mostly not needed. Sorry, I bring that up as a case of the compressed attribute having, control over a default packaging. In the NetFX case, it's bundle compressed equals yes, or default, but an individual package, the NetFX redist, being compressed equals no. So that's a case where you've said the bundle should be completely compressed, and we use compressed to turn off that default.
Yep.
I don't know, if you want to reverse our decision that we made last time and do a warning instead of error, that's fine. It doesn't make sense to me intuitively, but if that's the behavior we want, then that's fine.
Well, I don't want, to be honest, none of this is intuitive. It's getting really hairy. I don't like the idea that we allow remote payloads in a package that's compressed.
But the .NET Framework case is exactly the one why it exists. .NET Framework is defined as remote. It's external. You put it in your bundle. You want everything in your bundle compressed, but you're using .NET Framework. It's just a redist. You don't want that in your bundle. And that's the exact case. Compress everything except this
that's
thing.
a package. I'm saying within a package, all of its payloads should be together. But I'm fine with the extra capability, I guess, of mixing and matching at that level.
Yeah, I agree. That one's a little weirder. Like the
it's a
case
lot
on
weirder.
Okay, the case on that is a lot more theoretical. I absolutely agree with that. But at the same time, we can allow it and it will just work. It's like, okay, maybe that is useful. The case where I think of all the time is I want to download a SQL database or like some large data file that I don't want to ship inside my bundle. So it's the one thing remote. for something else to get installed.
For
That's
a
the
package that's
theoretical
never enabled.
or
Or
optionally
sorry,
enabled.
sorry. Yeah, rarely
Yes,
enabled.
right.
Okay.
Right. It's that kind of scenario, and it's theoretical. I don't have a real world case where I know where that happens. Unlike the .NET framework, we definitely have a case where it happens. Fine.
Right. Okay, so in that case, we want to continue to issue a warning and not try to mark the payload as compressed.
I mean, we decided last time it was an error, but we can switch that to warning if you want.
Well, I mean, it's a warning right now, right?
It's
Yes,
a warning and it changes the bit.
Well, right.
I think the changing the bit is the thing that causes the problem. Right?
Right.
Changing a remote payload to embedded will never work. You're like, no, you can't embed a remote payload. We don't have it. The whole point is we don't have it. You cannot embed it. The tool set is essentially shooting itself in the foot in that case.
Yeah.
And I think the question is, I think what I've heard, the question is, bundle compressed allows packages, payloads in the chain to override the bundle's compressedness, for lack of a better word. It in .NET Framework can be remote, can be external.
Yeah.
Your bundle can be compressed. That's normal. And I believe Sean was saying if you explicitly put something in a container by having a container then a package group ref, then it should not behave the same as a bundle being compressed. You said put it in container, it's embedded. We should error if we find a remote payload because, well, you explicitly said put it in a container. Containers are compressed. Remote payloads cannot be put in explicit containers because, well, we won't have them. Where if you follow the overall bundle behavior, well, technically speaking, we could just say, hey, by the way, you put this thing in your container, it has a remote payload, so that's not going to end up inside that container. Same as in the case of a bundle, you mark this thing external, it's not ending up in your bundle. The question is it a stronger statement to say, put this thing in a container and everything must be present? If you put it in a container, it must be present. None of that special remote or external file behavior is allowed. External payload. Sorry. In a container, if you say this is in a container, every payload must be in it embedded. Right? That's kind of the decision point.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't have strong opinions. I can see arguments both ways. If you say put it in a container, you said put it in a container, it's an error if you put anything that's not in there. It's like, well, but I want the same behavior that bundles have by marking them. It's a container too, right? So I want the same behavior there. If it's remote, it's fine. And you can go either way. So the fix is don't change the embeddedness and then change, and then the second part is, do we make it a warning or an error when that happens? When it's detected. I don't have a strong feeling.
I waffle. The way you phrase it makes me waffle. Is it a stronger statement to have a package group ref in a container? Yes. That is a stronger statement than bundle compressed equals yes.
Okay. I think Sean would agree with you based on what I've heard him say.
Yep.
Yeah.
If so, then that would be an error. That would say remove the embeddedness and change the warning to an error.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the right way to go.
All right.
Cool.
Woohoo! Onward.
Okay.
And this was gonna be fast.
Luckily, there's only 2 of them.
No, there's 18 more, 14 more, whatever, something like that. SQL error message is not informative when using SQL extension. Yeah, they want more detail in the error message, and I'm like, that would be great. Someone could go do all that.
Yeah, except the truth is that error message, the healthy error message, contains no additional information. Well, sorry, it contains one little bit of information.
The server was not found or not accessible.
Couldn't connect.
Yeah.
That's the only useful bit of information. The rest of it is, a paragraph on ways that you might not be able to connect.
Well, it does tell you that the provider can be useful. Anyway, fundamentally, I don't disagree. More error messages is good.
Yeah.
The error messages in the SQL API are complex, to say the least. And it would be great if someone wanted to go do all the work to bring them up and out instead of all the unknown error. I thought there was some attempt to get more detail. Yeah, this whole unknown error thing here, I think, is an attempt to get more detail out of it.
Yes.
But someone with more knowledge of the SQL API or someone willing to go dig into it would probably go there and get the actual, because I think you can get this. And anyway,
I think enabling the dutil logging for this custom action would probably give them what they want. Or it probably would at least say failed to connect.
Yep,
if you could see the dutil logging, right?
Because dutil includes SQL util.
Yeah, the SQL util call. But yeah, I don't know anyway. All I know is that there's extra code handling this error that was put in because we got it from people, and then that had a bug, and so I had to go in and fix it, and it had all this extra error handling or error message stuff to it that tried to add, and in the end, it doesn't surprise me that it came back with. Anyway, yes, this would be great. Someone could do this. Someone could do this at any time. They could go in and make this better. So milestone, where to?
$4X, I guess.
Yeah.
4X. 4X. All right. That would be great if someone wanted to go do that. Because it is interesting. All right. We're going to roll straight into some issue triage for at least another 15 minutes and see how far we go. All right. We left off at this core integration test host thing. The next one is support bundle automatic containering like in MSI. That's worded interestingly. Number 6521. It is currently assigned to Near. I don't think Near's here. Do we, I guess, how about we just drop a message in this saying, hey, are you still planning to do this for 4? Now would be a good time to get on that.
Is it a good time?
That's a good point. As soon as I said that, I stopped. You're right. This probably doesn't go now, right?
I'm saying, a year ago we said we need a whip.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you're right. This isn't going in 4. All right. Can it be done at 4X? I don't.
I think it could. I mean,
be broken.
There might need to be something equivalent to media template.
All right. Well, I think we should.
And that's actually in the original. Yeah.
So I guess that's an ad. All right. Anyway, cool. Let's put it in there and drop a message saying, hey, yeah, this will have to be post 4 at this point.
Okay.
Unable to build after updating to version 3.14, 6.5.6.7. This is about the ICEs.
Yeah, this is about the ICEs.
I know you're.
I played around with this not that long ago, and
you're going to take care of it in 4, right?
Yeah, I basically updated the updated some of the ICEs, but the merge module cube is still busted. So I kept it open, like the comment says, just to take one last look before we ship.
Cool. Maybe update the title. Oh, it says that. All right.
Sure.
Visual Studio 2019 locks output of project dependencies while building installer via WiX toolset. Guess it'd be a matter of playing with this in Votive. This is Votive though. This doesn't have to go in 4, does it?
Is it actually
or is it
Votive
MS
that's
Build?
doing it?
That's a good point. Could be MS Build or Visual Studio. Visual Studio says that lib is locked. guess it could be 4. I guess it could be MS build. Doesn't have anything saying if it only happens from the command line here, does it?
No.
Whenever I push the rebuild button. But I guess it could be in our target. Could it? I don't know. The thing is that we don't get this more often. Although maybe people don't rebuild correctly enough.
I didn't look at the project. Like, is it using heat or something, and somehow it's holding on when it's harvesting or something? I don't know.
Lib bucket. He said lib, right? Just a CS project. So setup maybe. Okay. Yeah, there's a heat directory. Possible. Yeah, run all the tools out of proc. Yeah, that's probably the right answer. All right. I guess we'll keep it 4.0 and look at it. I'll probably look at it when we get past patching. See if it. All right. The winget thing, I have bits and pieces of this. We'll take care of it. That's 6601. That will be coming, but it'll come very late because we have to have the real thing. Yada, yada, yada. All right, so Zach says he's seen something before, so with just MS build. All right, we'll keep it around. All right, V4 theme util billboard display issues 6635. Bob, you still gonna look at that one? Poke at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll leave it in my queue. It's a bug fix, so
Okay.
it's a bug fix in an obscure area of thememutil that none of our bootstrappers, none of the WiX Standard BA bootstrapper themes use. So it's not a priority for me for preview 1, and frankly, we could ship WiX 4 without it. I think
I'm not too happy with that because I gave poor review comments on that when it was merged like 6 years ago.
I remember.
And nothing's been done on that in 6
No.
years.
I know, but so this is a problem with having functionality that we don't use within WiX.
I mean, if you're not going to fix it, I'm going to have to pull what you put in there.
Why? I don't
Because
think you have to.
It wasn't documented. It doesn't work. I have to pull it.
That doesn't necessarily follow. It's look, like I said, I will keep it in my queue, and I agree. We talked about this before about the use of panels. I'm perfectly fine doing this. I'm just saying this isn't a priority for me for preview 1.
I thought everything had to be done by preview 1.
Yep.
Then it's not a priority for me for WiX 4.0. It's bugs. Bugs could be fixed in 4x.
Then I'll have to pull it.
I disagree with that.
Does the whole thing not work, or is it a particular part of it not work? Does it blow up?
It used to work. I built an extensive BA using it, but that was years ago.
It allowed a lot of extra functionality that you weren't using. So I don't think it was the right way to do it.
That's absolutely possible. Like I said, the panel idea was spiffy at the time, but it was probably overkill. I'm fine with the concept of putting billboards back to allowing images only, for example.
I don't know. I tried to ask in the pull request what it was actually trying to do, and I never got an answer. And I asked for documentation, I never got documentation.
No,
So if I
that's
don't
hardly a
understand,
surprise, right?
so if I don't understand what it's doing and it's not working, then I'm gonna pull it.
Again, that doesn't necessarily follow. There are plenty of things we can do, including saying, you know, this XYZ path does not work. Again, it did work. I used it. Now, if it decayed since then, fine.
I don't know what your use case was, so I can't even.
It was to make billboards.
I don't know.
I'm just, this isn't,
I don't want to handle all the bugs that are to come up when people try to use
then
it
we add
differently.
documentation. Then we add documentation
And don't.
that, sorry?
Then don't. Don't handle all the bugs that come with.
Well, that's also a fine option. I was saying we can add documentation saying, you know, this, again, XYZ doesn't work. That's fine. I mean,
Well,
you know,
what does work?
dude, I don't know. I wrote these BAs years ago. I used this. All right. So again, at one point it did work.
So I trust you that it worked, and I'm trying to get you to tell me what worked, and then
Dude, it was years ago. I don't remember. I
Images
wrote
on the
BAs.
billboard worked, right?
At least images on the billboard worked.
That
Yes.
worked. The panels thing, I don't know. That seems to be the root.
Again,
I'll open
I
issue.
I would have to go back and look, and that has not been a priority for me compared to other bugs.
Open.
And they're bugs. You know, they can be addressed.
Did I just lose GitHub? Everybody can still hear me, right?
Yep.
All right. Now that's good. Okay. I came back. Go back.
Just slow.
Yeah, it was just slow.
I can go look up what worked, and you know, I mean, if that's, I don't know, useful, I can go back and you know, look up what worked. But again, this was years ago, and ThemeUtils had a bunch of work, most of which you did.
We don't have to rip it all out if it only works with images. To say it doesn't work with panels would be like, yeah, okay. So
yeah, and again, like I said, I'm perfectly fine if we rip out panels and only support billboards with images, because I know that we have a bunch of we're going to have a bunch of problems with, you know, Z order in the billboards. But you know, I added panels and they worked. Now, it is entirely possible that the panels I used were themselves just images, because I did have to do a fair bit of work. This BA was like entirely, it was very graphics heavy. So it's entirely possible that I used panels just to be able to compose the pieces of the billboard. Again, I'd have to go back and look. If, you know, random controls in the panel don't work, okay, that's something we can document or even disallow.
So I thought your whole pull request was panels. So if panels don't work, I want to pull them, and you said you're fine with that. So I guess
That
I'm
was
missing.
not the extent of, I did quite a bit more in ThemeUtil for that BA. But I'm specifically talking about panels in billboards. If panels elsewhere don't work, then we can absolutely talk about, you know, nuking the entire concept. And again, that's entirely possible.
Okay.
I was in charge of creating the theme at the same time I was updating ThemeUtil to take care of it. So if, you know, it's entirely possible that I missed, you know, a completely logical code path that, you know, I wasn't using.
Yeah, I want to pull panels if they're not, if this is how they're going to work.
Okay. I mean, if they're broken, I have no problem with that unless we should fix them instead. So lacking enough information to make that decision, I would not say rip them out first. I would say leave them in until we can, make a proper diagnosis. And if it's terminal, we can pull them. But I don't want that to be the default.
Well, I don't want to leave something that's broken into V4 that I can't pull later.
Well, I'm saying we don't have to make the decision right now. We can postpone it.
Okay.
There are a couple
But
weeks of me and patching.
when I was asking for information to make a better decision, you were just telling me that was long ago and you don't know what's going on. So
I also didn't say that I wasn't going to look it up. I can go look at the old BA I created.
great. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. But again, not a priority. So it's not going to happen, in the next week or so.
That's fine. The question is, are we going to get to these before 4? And I mean, right now I feel like the long pull with patching because I know that I have a large amount of work in there, and I don't have a end. I think when I start seeing the end of the tunnel, then it might the end of the tunnel on patching, then it might turn into, okay, who else has things that are longer than X? Because right now I'm measuring patching in weeks, which I assume none of you guys have any single issue that's longer than weeks. And if you do, well, I know closer, I think. Or if you do, let me know. I'm just assuming that I have the longest one still. So, yeah. So there's certainly time left to look at smaller issues, assuming these are smaller issues. So there's time. All right. Can patch SWITAG burn integration test is failing 6675. That is part of patching. That'll probably be one of the last issues that I get to because it requires all the other patching work. So that'll be a great place to finish up. Okay. 6843 WiX toolset DNC host generator runs twice during the compilation of WPFBA.
Well, a pre-GA check.
Yep. Go poke.net, make sure it's all cool. Include remote payloads. We just talked about this one. I'm assuming you're going to work on that one. 6847 WiX XE convert ignores commented inner text. Sounds like a good thing to fix before Faro ships. It should be straightforward for anybody that wants to pick that up. V4 bundle can fail to copy bundle when starting registration session. 6848. Sean?
Yeah.
All right. That's a yes, that's 4, right?
Yeah.
not a yes, my name is Sean. All right. Burn detects related bundles twice on x86 machines. 6849.
Yeah, I need to do that.
All right. Windows installer validation target runs twice. 6853. That's another MS Build one. Should get done before 4.0. Update WiX standard BA themes to use install folder instead of install folder. That's the caps difference. 6858. We talked about that weeks ago, I feel like. Yeah, that was triage.
Yeah, I guess we should change the title, but I'm going to do that one.
Layout attempts to send messages to elevated engine. Oh, that's interesting. 6871.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
kind of scary, isn't it?
Well, if it attempts and fails, that's okay. But
well,
not okay. I mean, like.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some. I'm gonna have to look at 3 and see whether I messed something up or whether it's always been doing that.
Interesting.
Because if it's always been cleaning packages as part of the layout, then that could have been interesting.
That sounds really weird. No, it should not have been doing that.
But
pretty clearly.
I can't imagine that I would have caused that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to look into.
Yeah, would have been one of the big dumps we got when we started getting complicated interactions we started getting from like when the studio was doing very intricate layouts between things. Anywho, all right, we got to the end. 10:20. I might make it after all. All right, so that is all the 4 issues. I think we know where we're at and what we're going through there. Like I said, I'm the long pole. I'm going to fill a little space. If you have questions, when would a / layout ever be elevated? Jacob asked. Whenever they launch it from an elevated command prompt is the big one.
Yeah, but it still wouldn't have an elevate engine to talk to. Like the BA would have to explicitly elevate. That would
Oh,
be
it's
the only
just one
time.
process.
That would be very weird. Here, let me elevate and then do a layout. That's so weird. Anyway, yeah.
Depending on where you want to write the layout to.
It,
Although from what I remember in V3, if the elevated engine was available, it would do the layout stuff through the elevated engine.
maybe for exactly the case that Bob just said. If you want to write to an elevated location and you launched it elevated. But the whole, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to remember that whole scenario. It would be nice. You should be able to lay out a bundle to an elevated location if you launch it elevated. And
But it shouldn't prompt for elevation to do that.
probably not. Probably not.
I'll buy that.
This could also be hangovers from early attempts in Burn, just for history case, that we tried to launch the
Unelevate?
BA as unelevated all the time.
Right.
So that could be a thing too. All right, I've
I
been
wish
feeling.
that it worked.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know anymore. All right. All right. So I'm gonna fill some time, see if people have other questions, things that are going on in their brain. Ron, I know I've queued up you have a bunch of emails that nobody else has answered that I need to go poke at. I've just been trying to get my head wrapped around patching, but I thought I'd have some time this morning. Didn't quite go that way. Anyway, Ron, I know you have a bunch of stuff out there. Want to go get to that. Other people, I think we're all caught up. And that means that if there's anything new.
Actually, if we have a little time, can we talk about what you're doing for the cleaning and like automatic cleaning and the command line stuff in the build scripts?
Cleaning. Oh, sure.
Like,
real quick.
can you change it or could you enhance it to where, like, if you build WiX, it automatically calls the clean script or it automatically deletes the NuGet packages from the cache for all of its dependencies. So like instead of the API build command cleaning itself out of the cache, like make it to where if you build the WiX layer, before it does anything, it wipes the NuGet cache and then it'll restore from the build folder always.
So instead of only cleaning the segments dependents NuGet cache, clean all of its dependents from the NuGet cache. And
so that way you don't have to remember what order or what the dependents are. So like when you ran into that problem when you tried to do the ball extension and the SDK was cached.
Yep.
It would have been cool if the ball extension would have cleaned the SDK.
But if the WiX layer segment had cleaned, the right thing would have happened as well. Because it would have either clean out the cache and not put itself in there, or put itself back in there for the testing purposes, which I think is what the WiX segment would have done, and everything would have worked out. I don't know that I have to clean all the dependents.
Well, for the ball extension, let's say you changed, well, I'm not sure that would always work. But I guess if you think it will work, then...
I haven't hit a case where it hasn't. The issue I had here was that I was in the setup where I knew I had done it, and I had been in the API where I know I had done it, and I thought I had added the clean to the WiX segment, but I hadn't, which now looking back, of course I haven't, because it's the last one I want to do after I was kind of playing around with it, getting it working. But I think so far it's been holding together for me. When I've had to rebuild the API, when that clean did it, it cleaned itself, built its stuff, then I went and built the things that depended on it, and it worked out. Now, I so far it's worked out. There are cases where it might not, if we get intricate paths through, like if WiX needs Burn and Burn then uses API and you rebuild API but you don't rebuild Burn, then you jump over to WiX. That certainly can get into a mix, but I don't think we have any I haven't hit any complications in that. We have to build both API and burn to have the right thing happen in WiX. If in that case, then it would have to start cleaning all of its other dependencies. Yes.
Or if we could get the whole build multi-proc again, it would be just build it.
I still think it'd be longer than iterating in 1 second, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact I was able to integrate in the WiX and the setup segment when I was kind of playing with that and having the setup clean itself, I was like, that actually got, or was it tool? I forget. There was a loop where I got into. I was like, yeah, okay, this isn't so bad. I can actually operate just within this segment, and the speed was back. I didn't have to build. In that case, I didn't have to build lots of native code, which is definitely slower than everything else.
Yeah.
And then the tests, some of the tests can be slow. So anyway, it's been holding together so far. I'll definitely keep it in mind, but I haven't had to yet. But it could if I ever get into a case where there are multiple segments that combine that have to be updated to get this one segment done. So far, that's been avoided, but it could happen. All right, walk the whole tree clearing the cache, then walk the tree building. Well, I mean, that's kind of, we kind of do that now with, that's what dev build does. It cleans the whole cache, cleans everything out, and then it goes and builds everything. And on my machine, that takes like 14, 15 minutes. So if you want to try to build just one segment, you do a little bit less. And so far, I've been able to get away with it with just building a segment. And I think the clean pattern's working. I've gone back and forth on command line, the way the command line should work. Because way back when in Office, we had the difference was if you ran a batch file or a command, then it would do an incremental. And if you added the word full at the end, then it would clean and do an incremental. So I kind of went back and forth between should it clean automatically or should it do incremental automatically? And I've kind of gone back and forth. I think in the end, I've decided that the full is better because in the case of the segments, you're generally building the whole thing and you're better off cleaning and all that kind of good stuff. So, so I have not gone with the pattern Office using full, but I went back and forth with it a few times. Anyway, internal things, if you look at the commits around the batch files, which to Bob's point, if we could just get everything to be parallel build, that would be great. The issue is if we want to try to use the same NuGet packages that we're publishing in the same build, the MS build, have to restore at least that. You have to restore between those layers, which has been the root of it. Which is why the whole micro repo was a concept which had different levels of complications or process on top of it. Anyway, all right, I've filled a lot of time. I feel the questions have all been about things that I've been doing. Let's see. So as stated before, I think we're on track for 2 weeks, which would be September 8th. Hopefully more bugs will be solved, although maybe not so much in my world since I'm now in patching and they may not fall until they all fall in my case. We'll see. And yeah, let's see. So 2 weeks, same time, same place. We do this all again. And yeah, I think that's it. Anything else? I think that's it. All right. Ron, yeah, if you send an email, WiX devs, I will get to him today or tomorrow. I have a tournament, soccer tournament tomorrow to go to, but I will try to find a slot in between all those things. So until then, we'll be back in 2 weeks. You guys have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.